Conservative new media viewers, Jeremy Lin fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFV Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss Brooklyn's bad loss tonight, 118-88 to the Chicago Bulls in Brooklyn, New York City. With the win, Chicago improves to 3-0 on the season, and the Nets fall to 1-3. Let's go over the stats quickly, then we'll talk more about the game and what happened. Jimmy Butler, 22.6 rebounds for the Bulls. Isaiah Cannon, who I believe Jeremy played with in Houston several years ago, 15.6 assists off the bench. It looks like there were 7 Bulls players in double-figure scoring. For the Nets, they were led by Bojan Bogdanovic's 15 points, 3 rebounds. Brook Lopez, 13 points, 2 rebounds. Sean Kilpatrick off the bench with 13 points himself. And Jeremy, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Jeremy played 24 minutes, shot 6 of 10 from the field, including 1 of 2 from three-point range, 1 of 2 free throws, 4 steals, no block shots, 3 turnovers, no personal fouls, and I cannot see Jeremy's plus-minus here right now, but I know it was something like a minus 11. Pretty much everybody on the Nets had a minus, plus-minus, because neither the bench nor the starters was really able to do much. So what happened in this game? What happened was the Bulls got off to a hot start. They outscored Brooklyn by 18 points in the first quarter. The Bulls were locked in. It looked like they had a really good scouting report, which was something that Mike Fratello was discussing on the Brooklyn feed of this game. Like, they knew exactly what Brooklyn wanted to do and how the Bulls wanted to disrupt what Brooklyn was doing. They were extremely aggressive on defense, were the Bulls, especially looking for steals and trying to force turnovers. They got out on fast breaks. They got out on a lot of fast breaks in this game, and it just kind of snowballed for Brooklyn. The way that Brooklyn was able to hang in the first 3 games of the season, they just couldn't do that tonight. And you have to give credit to the Bulls. The Bulls just would not let them get back into this game. And there was a point in the third quarter where I thought Brooklyn might make a run, but just Chicago took a timeout and they pushed the lead back up again. So they just never had an opportunity, did Brooklyn, to get in this game. And look, this is one of those nights. This is the type of game that critics thought Brooklyn was going to have a lot of this year. This is the way that they thought Brooklyn was as a team in a game like this. The good thing for Brooklyn is it hasn't happened until tonight. I will also say this about Chicago. They're playing better than people thought they were going to be. I don't think people felt they were going to be this good. Chicago came into this game with the highest ranked offense in the league in terms of offensive rating. Was very high, like 118, which is incredible. They're also a great rebounding team. They have a high number of assists per game. What I didn't think was that great for Chicago coming into this game was their defense was kind of middle of the road. While they played great defense tonight, they also pushed the pace, which I wasn't sure. You didn't think they were going to do that based upon their statistics from the first 2 games. So it was almost like Chicago was like the perfect team tonight. They played great offense. They passed the ball. They rebounded really well, but they also played really good defense, and they got out on the break. So this is just one of those games that happens where everything went right for them and things did not go well for the Nets. It's disappointing that the Nets couldn't fight through this. But they just, Coach Atkinson said it after the game, and I put it on Twitter. The Nets were playing like they were back on their heels early on in this game. And I will tell you something that I noticed in this game, and this is about Jeremy, but it's about the whole Brooklyn team. The efforts by Chicago defenders to strip the ball from Jeremy and from others really bothered the Nets. Jeremy got the ball deflected or poked away like maybe 4 or 5 times. A few of those, or maybe 3 or 4 of those early in the game, and another couple players had the same thing happen to them. Isaiah Whitehead had it happen to him. A couple of the other players happened to them, and I think that, I'm not going to say it completely rattled their confidence, but it threw them off. And then they had to start thinking about things a little bit more. Then they get behind by 15 points, and now they're rushing shots, and they can't hit a shot. They went 5 for 31 from three-point range tonight, which is 16%. They shot 34% overall. It just snowballed. And this is why, and just coming back to Jeremy. Look, actually, before I say that, let me say this. Jeremy played really well tonight. He actually played really, really well in the time that he was out on the court. The problem was nobody else was playing really well for the Nets. Like, he couldn't bring along the rest of the guys. Or maybe Jeremy and Brook were playing pretty well, but it wasn't enough. And Bojan had a good game. Like, he scored the ball and he shot the ball pretty well, but he was really having a tough time on defense in this game. I think they had him guarding Jimmy Butler, and that's a difficult matchup for Bojan, who's a scorer and a shooter, but he's not known for his defense. And so this is, again, that type of situation we've talked about before, where Brooklyn doesn't have as much talent as somebody they're facing. So Bojan isn't as big, and he's not as strong, and he's not as athletic, and he doesn't jump as well as Jimmy Butler. And the Bulls just took advantage of it. Every little advantage that they had, they maximized tonight. And so, but coming back to Jeremy, I told you the last game was a fluke in terms of his shooting. A total fluke. He started out this game, Jeremy did 5 of 5 shooting, including hitting his first three-pointer. Now, he did miss a wide-open three-pointer, but that was after the avalanche had started for Chicago. So then everybody's missing. Jeremy shot the ball well. He did have some turnovers, but the thing that's good with Jeremy is he got 4 steals. In other words, he made up for the turnovers. But so I'll just say that I thought Jeremy played great in this game. He was the best net, and he was the only person I thought that was really getting something done for them. But because we covered Jeremy, and because we're focused on Jeremy, I'm going to say this again, and I said it in the other video. This is exactly why Jeremy is going to spend more time on the ball handling, because they were able to disrupt him tonight with that, particularly early in the game, and that hurt Jeremy and it hurt Brooklyn. I'm not blaming Jeremy for this, because it's certainly not his fault. He was the guy that did the most in this game for Brooklyn. But if you're Jeremy Lin, or if you're somebody that likes Jeremy Lin, or you whatever, that's like the last weakness. That's the last weakness. You get your ball handling just a little bit tighter, so that these guys can't try to do this. Because I'm going to tell you the truth, they were really getting after Brooklyn at that. Like, they clearly had it in their heads, did the Bulls. We're going to try to challenge these ball handlers and see if we can get them to mess up, and see if we can strip them, and see if we can poke the ball from behind, and these little punk out moves. And I have to tell you, it worked some. And so, as I've said before, that's the final thing, I think, for Jeremy Lin. In addition to, and I combine that with turnovers, ball handling, avoiding turnovers, decision making. Those 3 things go together. The only other thing for him as an individual player, because I do think the shot is in really good shape now, the only other thing for him is working on to get better and better at the one-on-one isolation offensive moves. Everybody has to work on that. That's just a common thing. Those are the 2 things. And one of them, the ball handling, and the turnovers Chicago was able to get after him at. And so for him to get to the level that he wants, to get to the top full echelon, is going to want to tighten that up a little bit more. And he will. No question about it. Again, his ball handling has improved exponentially since he's been in the league. But I told you in the first game of the year that I said that, I read a scouting report, and the scouting report was he's not a great point guard because his ball handling isn't great. So you saw a little bit of that tonight. And look, this is how it goes. In the NBA, there are no secrets. There's no anything, and Mike Fratello talked about it in this game. And so did Ian Eagle, the announcers for the Nets on TV, on Yes Network. Now that you've played 3 games, teams can look at the film. They can scout you now. You can't do that until you have footage to look at. Now that there's footage, they're going to find that. So they're going to figure out your weaknesses, and they're going to attack them. That's what the Bulls did tonight overall to the Nets. I was really annoyed in the fourth quarter when Dwayne Wade, I think, was picking on Boyan, and then the crowd was like cheering him on. You don't want that to happen in your home crowd. You don't want the crowd cheering on the opposition. I totally respect Dwayne Wade. He's a great player, and he has great one-on-one moves, but it was like the crowd's chanting for that. If you're a Nets player or Nets personnel, that's going to make you really upset, and it should. Like I said, this isn't the end of the world. It's not. It's just one loss, and we had to wait until Game 4 for this to happen, when the rest of the league and prognosticators thought it was going to happen from Game 1, and it didn't. Like I said, they'll learn from this the same way that they're going to learn from the Milwaukee game and a couple little things here and there. So it's just what it is. It's just every single team in the league is going to have a loss or multiple losses like this in a year. I've explained this in previous years. You have like 5 games like this every year where you just, no matter what you do, you can't do anything. And you just get beaten down, basically. And then there's like 5 games where you're the one who beats the other team down no matter what they do. This is one of those games for Brooklyn. Although I do think there are things they can improve from this. I do think that when they get more chemistry and time together, and a little more collective resistance, you won't get this as much. But like I said, there are a couple games like this every year to every single team, and tonight was just a Nets night, and you have to give credit to Chicago, and you just got to move on from here. So that's kind of my read. So, again, restating, Jeremy played great in this game when he was in, but they did pick on him on his dribble and in turnovers a little bit, and that's where he wants to tighten up. Other than that, I thought he played great in this game. I really do. I thought he played phenomenal in this game. Yeah, that's about it. Like I said, he'll iron that out. I'm sure of it in the time to come. He'll keep working on it, and he won't be able to do that to him. And that's the same thing for the rest of the Nets as well. Again, I'm just talking about Jeremy because that's the person that we focus on more than anybody else, but others on the Nets were having similar issues. It was spread throughout the team. So let's talk about the next game. The next game is coming up 2 days from now on Wednesday, November 2nd, and it will be against the Detroit Pistons. It will take place in Brooklyn, New York, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, November 2nd, here in the East Coast of the United States, Eastern Time, yes. And it will take place on Yes Network and on League Pass. Detroit is, I think they're 2-1. They looked horrible in the preseason. They looked terrible. Like everybody was beating them. I mean, I don't know. They were a pretty good team last year, and all of a sudden it looked like they forgot how to play, or they just didn't care about the preseason whatsoever. Right now they're 2-1. They have some real talent. Particularly, they have talent with Andre Drummond in the middle at center. They also have more talent than that, and they're going to provide challenges. But I do think it's a game that the Nets definitely should be able to compete in, if not win. But I have to study Detroit more, but I think the Nets can beat them. But they're going to need a different type of performance than what they generated tonight. Detroit has won their last 2 games, so they're on a little bit of a roll. They lost their first game, won their last 2 games. But look, there will be nights like this. That was said by the radio analyst on the Nets broadcast network after the game. I tweeted that out. I agree with that. There will be nights like this, even if you're a great team. For a team like the Nets, there'll probably be a few more nights of this than there will be for other teams. But this is just one of those nights, and I think the team will react well to it. I think they'll learn from it. I think they'll come back stronger, and I think they'll be a lot more energized when they play Detroit than they were in this game tonight. So I guess that's about it. There's not really a whole bunch more to talk about. As I said, Chicago just beat them every way you can beat them. They outshot them. They out-rebounded them. I'm almost sure they had more fast break points. It was everything. And then it just piled up on top of itself. And Nets just didn't have that extra burst to kind of come back as they had come back in other games earlier this season. So hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Hang in there. Another game in just 2 more days. Nets can rest, think about this one a little bit, and be focused when they take on Detroit 2 days from now. So we will see you then, 48 hours or so. Detroit Pistons against the Brooklyn Nets. Let's try to go out and clean this one up when we play Detroit on Wednesday.